Bobby asks, what does co-mixing look like? Are you still doing much co-mixing? I mean, I know there's Atmos co-mixing kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing Atmos co-mixing completely.
What about regular co-mixing? Is it this?
Haven't. I want to. I've offered it. It's a couple of things that, potentially that will be happening on.
And the idea of that is what? That somebody who's producing it, or maybe the vocal engineer or something like that. I mean, obviously I've talked to Baines and Tizio, and the structure of the straight hip hop stuff is a little different because like Chris Brown has Tizio as engineer who also mixes, and Baines has Thug. When they do a song together, they're just throwing sessions back and forth. So that's kind of an obvious co-mix situation. But somebody comes to you where you're like,
for me, it's specific. There's an engineer that's recording everything that the artist has built a trusted relationship with, right? And the engineer is in there every day. This artist wants to work at 2 a.m. and, got to be there on call all the time. And when it's time to finish the record, the engineer is like, wow, I put so much work into this, and I also made it sound like something, but I don't have the confidence to say that this is done yet. Or not even the confidence, just like the know-how to just admit that, like, I've spent so much, I'm so close to these records, but I don't want to throw them to someone that's never communicated with this artist before. It doesn't really work in the world that we work in. It's just this black box mixer that has done so much, so whatever, they must know best. And then everything is thrown out the window for their communication with what has been happening the whole time of the process. So I'm inviting the engineer to come share the credit, and we do it together. Everyone comes up. You now, as a recording engineer, have a mix credit, so you can become a mixer at some point, having that mix credit. Yeah. I win because I'm also mixing a record that maybe I would not have had the chance to mix before, because the artist just wants to put the rough mixes out because they're good enough. I'm just trying to make things better than good enough. So it's a way to share. It's a way to have other perspectives come in and no one's work be felt unvalued. Like, oh, well, we're just going to, we still get issues now and then where an engineer or a producer won't want to send stems through the mix bus or something because it's proprietary. I love getting the email and it says, I'm not sending that. It's my proprietary mix bus. It's like, cool. I don't know what that means. I will send you my mix bus template right now in return for yours. Who cares? You want to trade? I'm not very precious about my minor template of plugins or whatever. So people think this is proprietary. Well, let's just share the work. And then so let's use a real time example. I co-mix everything in Atmos with Mike Miller at the Atmosphere recently. And, I'll do we'll trade off who's heavy lifting what songs, right? So when I've mixed it, I'm going to probably heavy lift the ones that I've mixed. And then on this album we're doing now, he heavy lifted a couple things that like Manny mixed. And then one of us will throw out an idea and the other one stands up. It's like, you do it. Like, that's how Tony was with me, right? Like, oh, you want to send the vocal around your fucking head because you can in Atmos? You do it. Like, cool. What's your vision? I don't really care who did the good idea as long as the good idea makes the final mix, I am a bit of a control freak when it comes to this historically, but I've changed. I watched the collaboration. I've watched the collaboration with Tony and myself and others, and his openness to just let the best idea win. And it took a bunch of years for me to change that perspective, but I like delegating now. I like to be like, no, that's a cool idea. Like, you do it the way you would hear it. Maybe I'll tweak it after a little bit. Like, maybe I need to filter some bottom because now that it's coming around the head, it's just a little bit weird up in my ears when you put it in spatial audio, but whatever. Like, the idea was the other person's idea. Like, let's just see it through to the end. The whole reason for it is the fact that up until the mix process, everything is really collaborative. There's always multiple people in the room bouncing ideas off of each other when it comes to lyrics with the artist, the snare choice, the chords. Everything has like been through the ringer of vetting. And when it comes to the mix, there's just one person in the room just going like, this is how it's supposed to be. It's like, well, it could be another way. So for me, it was a way to socialize the mix process and to make it a bit more collaborative. It's nice. Like, I had a couple artists come through this year. It's very few. The pandemic has kind of changed that. But, artists come through and you can bounce ideas off of them. You could bounce ideas off of any other creative ear that you trust. So that's where it stemmed from for me. And I have not done it as often as I would like to.
It's great. And I think the last thing I will say is that increasingly, I mean, if you're younger, you know this already for the most part, but things are just getting more and more collaborative. And if you're the type of person that gets really precious, look, we all have ego, we all have taste, we all want to make things sound a certain way, we're excited about it. But the reality is the more collaborative you are, you're gonna benefit from it. The more collaborative you are, the better it is for your career. Yes. I think almost across the board. There are certainly scenarios where you want to make sure you get credit and make sure you get paid. One of the reasons to have a manager, have an attorney, that sort of thing. But when you're making things, it's much better to be a part of a collaborative process that makes great records than to spoil that by being like, well, this is my thing, and we trust me, I have that, you have that, we all have the ego of wanting to make things happen and get the credit because we want things a certain way. But, you know, I think Jay Cash said this, hits not splits. Like get your name out there, work on whatever gets it to be the biggest song. People aren't going to go, wait, that's a co-mix or that's a co-production.
Nobody cares.
I remember looking at this, and I may have said this on the stream before, but Max Martin, who's maybe the most successful pop writer producer of the last 25 years, I think he's had, it's only Lennon-McCartney that he's behind on either top 10s in the Hot 100 or something like that. And by the way, Lennon-McCartney was a duo, so all of their songs were the two of them. If you put them separate, Max Martin's got the most. Right. I believe it is the case that not a single one of those hits was he the sole producer or sole writer. There may be one of them, I think maybe Baby One More Time, he wrote that himself, but it was a co-production. But I think maybe it's one out of 60 songs or some absurd number of huge hits.
It's more than that. It's over 100.
They're all collaborations.
It's over 150 he has.
I was gonna say top 10s. But
I still think over 100.
Whatever the number is, it's a lot. It's a lot more than all of us combined. Yeah. But they're all co-productions. They're all co-writes. Like, don't be precious about that stuff. Go figure out how to make the record that is going to be the best possible record.
Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. We don't have sponsors. We don't run ads. We don't have a Patreon. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks.